Bat music. He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute! Hello and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the show that contains both Beauty and the Beast in one luscious podcast. You can guess who is who with this duo. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
Well, and I am the other host, Niall McGowan. And if anyone else ever calls you Beast John, I'll rip their lungs out. It's a callback. It's a callback to the first movie.
Everything's connected, including seasons of this show.
Yeah, including sequels to the film that we reported on earlier this lifetime.
Well, we are joined by our very special guest. Our returning guest, Claire York.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for joining us again from last season. Last season, what minutes did you have? It was in the art gallery, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. She was showing her portfolio, and then he's trying to woo her with all these people passed out around.
Aha.
Yeah.
Well, this is very different. This is minute 81 of Batman Returns. The minute starts with a bit of a scratch, and it ends with a nice little tipple. Lovely. So yeah, we start the minute here with Batman walking over to see, almost checking that Catwoman is okay. Because he's really got a thing for her, hasn't he? Oh, bless.
I'm just wondering, though, like the look she gives him first. Because I remember when we were talking, like last episode with Brittany, and she had a whole thing about, like, oh yeah, this is a real... She interpreted this as being a real look of, like, sexual gratification, and that she's kind of, like, almost in a kind of post-orgasmic lying, like, oh yeah, like, you know, you could interpret it that way, that's fair enough, but it would seem like maybe to the lay person it's more of a kind of contemptuous, like, she's kind of angrily, like, oh, glaring up at him because he just after kicking her in the friggin' chest and throwing her back into a bush.
Well, I don't know, I think it's maybe both at the same time.
I was about to say, I'd say a bit of both.
Yeah. That's kind of what they're into, as we've established in the last few episodes. It's a weird kind of kink relationship between the two of them, which Brittany seemed to really enjoy this aspect of it, which I hadn't really thought that much. To me, initially, I just thought, oh yeah, because Catwoman wears a slinky outfit, but no, she went into lots of detail about their dynamic as a couple, almost.
They're dynamic as a duo.
As a duo, yeah.
That's the thing, because I do love the look Batman gives her, though, when he goes over, tears out the claw, which is in the center of his chest, where people would associate where the heart's not actually in the center of your chest, but it's like slightly off to the side, of course.
I found out something about this.
Oh.
I always thought the same as that. I did a resuscitation course 2 weeks ago, and the guy said to me, it is in the center, but it veers off to the side. So it's actually centrally placed, but like I can't remember the name, like the tubes, let's call them, they go off to the side. So it
extends left.
Yes, I couldn't even remember which side, so thank you, left.
Yes.
The fact that she's got her claw into where his heart is, like, oh, is this symbolic, perhaps, of she's got her claws into Batman's heart? Oh, maybe his ice wall is melting towards this woman. But of course it is, though. She just freaking licked his face and he didn't do anything about it. But
I wonder if everyone gives the claws back. I was thinking, does she have like a purse full of like claws spare, or does she have to be like, excuse me, can you give me that back? Before we fight any further, I need all like 10.
A bit like in a video game where you shoot arrows and you have to go and retrieve the arrows all the time. I'll be having that. Thank you. No, that's a good point. Like maybe she has a little bag.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them are like thimbles and things, and you could have like a little
Well, then she
I'm
does
doing
say
a motion with my
damn.
hands. You can't see that, everyone.
When she says damn, it's like she's surprised it's happened. But I feel like that would happen quite a lot since, she uses the claws and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it's happened to her once already. Like, she lost the
Yeah, I
claw
thought it
to
had,
Batman
exactly.
earlier. So it's like, oh man, I really need to glue these on better.
Yeah, she needs a really good super glue investment, perhaps.
Well, my main question was, like, how did they pierce Batman's armor? Because they are just, like, thimbles and, like, little scissors and anything stabby and pointy she had in the house. And it's gone through Batman's insanely thick rubber armor somehow.
Not all the way through, though. That's not drawn blood or anything. It's just sort
It
of just
hasn't.
stuck in there in the rubber a bit.
True. I'm still impressed. I thought they would just break.
I do love when he comes over and like takes it out. The look he gives her is a real look of like, what's your problem? Like, you were just looking at my face. Now you're stabbing me in the chest.
Enjoying
Like, what the
that
hell?
moment.
It's a real relationship. There's problems. There's fighting. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, because he does throw the claw back. The thing is, you could interpret that this has been like, this is a thoughtless Batman in the fact that it's like, well, she's a dangerous criminal. She's just lost part of her arsenal, kind of, because he's declawed at least one. But he's like, oh, I'm going to throw this back at you. Like, there's your claw back. It's like, she's just a dangerous criminal, Batman. You shouldn't be giving her back her weapon. You could also interpret it, though, as like, maybe this is a deliberate thing of like, oh, he's enjoying the game of it. He's like, that's right, there's your claw back. Let's see where this goes next and stuff. You never know what he's cooking up.
That fits with Batman because not in this series, but in other ones, he can't live without, say, the Joker.
Yeah,
He needs the challenge. So maybe it's the same thing here. Like, oh, he needs Catwoman.
yeah. It could be again because we're saying there's layers of this. On the surface, it would appear to be like, oh, it's like a cantankerous relationship where like she's hot and she's cold, and then like she's
yes and she's no.
Yeah. And she's licking his face and then she's stabbing him in the chest, and it would seem as if like he is like, oh my god, what is with you, crazy person? What's your problem? But it could be also as well like you could be probably reading way too much into him like just throwing her claw back, but it could be that he's giving her this look of like, oh you, and it's also like. But he's throwing it back, consciously knowing, like, I did kind of enjoy. Like, there's your claw back. Let's do this again sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, you can give me that claw again.
He does seem to like it.
He's so bored of just like swooping out of the sky and capturing these really easy bad guys, though. So it must be nice sometimes to be like, hey, this one's dressed up and it's a woman. He gets a little excitement in his day.
Definitely. I think that comes into play because it's intrigued him immediately. And the Penguin. They've both very much like caught his attention from second one. I think he's like, ooh, this is exciting. Like, what's going to happen here? This isn't my usual dull evening.
Sort of fellow broken people as well with these horrible backgrounds. He's like, we've all decided to get dressed up. It's just which side you're on that you've got to decide.
Oh, well, what do you think about Catwoman? Because we've asked a lot of people this. Because we love her. And we like that she's not really a villain. Like, she's kind of doing villainous things because she's gone a bit too far. But you do support her mission. Like, she's getting revenge on these evil men, basically.
Yeah. Also, just had like in the portrayal of her, like, because most people seem to be very like, oh, I'll absolutely love her. But then we had like Kiri Callaghan, and she was a bit like, yeah, it's a bit silly. That's a bit much, And she just didn't really.
I think it's great. I like how she's like made this outfit from scratch. She's really got into it,
From one coat.
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
You put it back together, it works. What can I say? That's how we change all our clothes.
They're all the same thing.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
where we're
the
going.
same outfits, they tear them up, they assemble them, they look different.
Yeah. So I know you're a crafty kind of costume person yourself, Clex. I remember you made like a Borg outfit for like Halloween.
Oh yeah. I did. That was mostly cardboard, though, I think.
That was even inventive. I couldn't do that with cardboard.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, like, I think if you were like thrown out a window by your boss and brought back, like, do you think you'd have the skills to make a Catwoman outfit of this, or would you just like, no, I'm just gonna get a bunch of cardboard boxes and cobble together a Catwoman outfit out of that?
I don't know whether cardboard would be the best for the Catwoman outfit. You might be able to do the ears with it, but I think you'd be like straight down the place getting some fake fur or something for your tail, for one. I don't know.
I want to see a cardboard Catwoman. I suppose you could do it in the style of Minecraft, boxy.
Like one of those square curtains.
yeah, one of them. That would work.
Could be one of those. That's my version of Catwoman. Square kitten, can't do much. Looks good though in a cardboard box.
Very
Pay it
different
back.
approach, but I'm into it.
Little white belly on it, Cardboard claws may not do so well with Batman's outfit though.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that we get seeing. That's bemoaning this throughout the movie is that in like production stills and stuff, and like the behind the scenes stuff where they actually take photos of the claws, and you can actually see how cool they are. But unfortunately, because the movie is a lot of black on black on black, and even in this shot here, when she's like properly displaying the claws to you, you can't really see them that well.
No.
But this is about the closest we get to seeing like how, a good detailed close up of them. But the one she has, the Batman's tossed back to her, seems to be like a 2-pronged weird thing. I don't even know what the hell it's made from.
What is it? I'm staring at it now.
It looks like something's woven round at the end, doesn't it? The way it's,
Yeah.
there's something that's been woven around the end to thicken it up a bit. But I don't
It-
know.
it looks a bit
needle
H.R.
that's been
Giger.
bent was- yeah. I was thinking of like Alien and things. Yeah,
Yeah, it's the alien's
that feeling
tail.
about it, the black and the sort of shiny and the bumpy
Mm.
of the Alien saga.
It's got a kind of, being a claw, a kind of biological aspect to it. So it's a bit biomechanical
Mm.
with this hinge in there.
One thing is like saying like, oh, it's like a 2-pronged thing, and there are 2-pronged claws, but you could also maybe this was supposed to be a thing of like maybe the claw is broken now. It's not supposed to be 2-pronged. It was supposed to be one claw, and that's
Yeah.
why she's going, oh damn! It's like, oh, I broke my
Yeah, she
damn
does say
claw.
damn. I just thought that was because she didn't have a spare supply with her, though. So
Maybe she
didn't
broke a
wear the
nail.
bum bag today, so without the
That's-
bum bag, she hasn't got any spares.
I want to see this Catwoman, same outfit and everything, but with a bum bag.
One of
Or
those
to you
bright
listeners,
90s
a fanny
colours
pack.
ones.
Yeah, yeah. That would be incredible. It would ruin the silhouette in the best possible way.
That's the thing, actually. No, just thinking though, because you said that, John. Like, do you think there's maybe supposed to be like a? Because I'm surprised it didn't go down that route of like, oh yeah, because it's Catwoman. She's broken a nail. Like, I'm surprised I haven't tried to push that as a joke. I've been like, get it, because women have long nails, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's implying that there anyway, isn't it? 'Cause she does look at all her nails when
Yeah.
and then she says, damn. It is sort of like she's, she didn't get a nail file out, but I still think the implication was there.
I broke my nail the other day. It was a real pain in the arse, so I know how she feels.
So I always bite my nails, and you just say like, when you go in too deep, it's like, oh damn it, and there's nothing you can do when you know it's happening. You're like, oh, there's nothing I can do to stop this. No.
Yeah. No, I used to do that. I used to bite my nails every day. And yeah, you know that it's going to bleed, but you're like, no, I've committed to it now.
No, I couldn't go that far. Mine hurt even when they've just cut them and they're quite short and they're not even getting blood level yet, and I'm going, ow.
Oh no, I used to bite them down so there was no white bit. Like it would go right the way, and blood would come out, and it'd be like, oh Jesus.
Sad times.
Yeah, I stopped doing it like 2 years ago. I was like, right, just after a whole lifetime of doing this, I just won't do it anymore.
I know a few people have done that. I feel like that's something you always did for life, but apparently not. You can actually stop.
No.
You really can.
It's my weird thing. I'm set in my ways, but when I change my mind, I change my mind, and that's it. Like I think if I was like addicted to drugs, I could just go, I won't take them anymore. That's my kind of personality. It's weird. I just make a decision. Like I had long hair at one point, and then just randomly, I'll just shave it all off and be bald. Well, I had a little mohawky thing, but it was quite a change, and I just randomly, there was no build up to it. I was just, whatever, just a complete change. Slightly different to drugs, but it's the same. I just randomly decided one day I like wine. I didn't like it for my entire life before then.
Was there a special bottle that made that happen for you, or was it just like you woke up one morning and wine tasted different?
Yeah,
That seems strange.
I like it now. That was my...
Someone did you bash your head or something? Was it a head injury?
Probably a mental health injury, if that makes sense.
It's gonna be like that episode of the Flintstones where Fred bumps his head and he becomes Frederick, who's a completely different personality, and he's much more attentive and nice and stuff.
It does happen.
So it's like since like 2007, John has been John Finn. It's not the John Parker I used to know.
Yeah, that's when it happened. That's when he started liking wine. When that name changed, I just realised.
That is a wine lover's name. Yeah, so A Ukrainian pronunciation of Jonathan is a wine lover's name. We've established that here today, if nothing else. But back to Batman.
I do love actually the setup here because I've been trying to work out because he gets up and stands and kind of poses for a second, as if he's almost flirting with Catwoman, like by going, "Hey, check this out. This is gonna be pretty cool. So make sure you're watching me, right?"
Yeah.
Instead of flexing his muscles, he's flexing his wings.
Like, check out the goods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, baby.
Well, because before he does the wings, he does like a weird little stance, doesn't he, as well?
Oh, yeah. Da-da-da.
Which is completely unnecessary in every way.
Well, I've been trying to work out as well because he stands. It's a very deliberate shot because they're obviously trying to get like, oh, we need the best shot we can possibly get. But they've framed him in between two kind of, I guess we'd call them grotesques.
Yes, grotesques.
Grotesques of two big birds. I'm trying to work out what kind of birds they are because they don't look like gothic, creepy birds. They kind of look like sparrows or something. Like they're very unintimidating looking birds.
They're liverbirds, yes.
That's the secret.
You're spot on. That's exactly what they are.
Mystery solved.
Gotham is Liverpool.
You're going to go down like Batman landing on the land banana. Like,
well,
someone's dressed it up to look
scene.
like the penguin to put like a top hat on it. Painted the rest of it.
Well, this is one of the cities where supposedly Spring Heel Jack visited, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well, where else? London. Do they claim they had him as well?
I feel like that's true.
There's a couple of places, isn't there? But Liverpool's definitely one of them, and he's got a Batman look to him. When you see supposed sightings, drawings, he's got wings and stuff.
Yeah. I think Ash, did he go into that the last time he was on, or I can't remember. I think it was a thing he spoke.
It was Ash or Ricky did, yeah.
Yeah. But I do like the fact though, but the way they position Batman between the two of them, it's almost like he's become what. Like Batman himself is one of the grotesques looming over the city.
Yeah,
So
someone might look up and be like, "Wow, I don't remember seeing that statue before. Oh God, it's moving!"
I want this statue on my house of Batman.
Full size.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, then of course we get a thing that when I was a kid, this was the coolest thing that I'd ever seen in my life. Where Batman is standing there, and all of a sudden his cape turns into this big glider thing. Within this, it's a thing that was made to be a GIF. 20 odd years too early, but now they finally have GIFs, and of course you can get a GIF of this very moment.
Oh, naturally. But the real question is, did anyone try and recreate this as a child and jump out the window?
Is this something you did then?
I used to often try and make my own parachutes and jump out the window. I didn't do this. None of them worked, and it was quite painful.
You do stuff where you'd like put a mattress on the stairs and go down them or something, some fun things like that, but not jumping out the window with a parachute of my own design. No.
No.
That was not a decision I made. I did climb a tree and have like a mini parachute with an action man, and like you chuck it out the tree and then he'd go woo.
I would test it on my action man first.
Yeah, that'd be a good place to start.
And it did kind of work on the action man.
Except he's not the same size as even as a child.
That was the fatal flaw in my plan.
You should have weighed it down so it's the same weight as you and then tested it like that with the doll. Then it would have worked.
That reminds me of the guy who invented the parachute I don't know if he's from Paris, but he tested it. The problem is he didn't test it. He just unveiled the new invention, the parachute, by jumping off the Eiffel Tower, insisting it would work, it would be fine. It did not work. He died horribly. Splat. So I'm surprised they didn't just pack the whole idea in there and then.
These people of vision to be like, okay, well, that guy's clearly an idiot. But the principle could work. Just have to wait. Just have to get some action men up here. Yeah. And we'll just practice it with
test
them.
It.
Maybe have those few seconds where it worked and everyone goes, it's happening, is that? Oh, no. Yeah, maybe enough just for someone to go, I'll give that another go, but with a doll instead of a human.
Yes, that's how testing things was invented.
Yeah.
Nobody had ever tested anything, ever.
That's where you got the concept of crash test dummies, which of course would go on to be the hit toy line Crash Test Dummies, and the hit one-season TV show Crash Test Dummies, which is about
I was
Crash Test Dummies.
Obsessed with them. That, if the listeners don't know what that is, maybe some of them are too young, I don't know. But The crash test dummies were toys of crash test dummies, as the name implies, and they could fall apart. Like, so you could throw them at the wall and all their limbs would fly off and their head, and you could get cars to put them in, and the cars would smash to pieces as well. And the whole game, well, not game, but the whole reason for playing with them was to smash them into smithereens, and then you can rebuild them.
I suppose it's not like kind of still going as because it seems to me like that's a solid concept for a toy. Like,
Yeah.
I remember it been heavily marketed, probably around the time this movie came out, actually. It's been like, this is a new toy line, kids, get in on it. And then there was a cartoon, I remember that for a bit.
Yeah.
Then, of course, they had that hit single the Crash Test Dummies did. People
Yes,
forget
the
that
spin-off of the show.
people forget, like, in the video, the guy's like, he's after every chorus, he falls down on the floor and just breaks to pieces and stuff.
That would have been a video. Oh, my God. Do you think they stopped doing them? I'm just hypothesizing here. Because the small pieces could be choked on.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably was just that all people... Well, the thing is, though, because it's the same as Lego, though. It's a Lego
true.
can... So unless it was just, like, it was too influencing kids to throw themselves... Like,
Cars.
maybe, like some kid threw himself out a window trying to make a parachute because he watched Crash Test Dummies and he thought it'd be all right.
Some little fat red-headed moron.
Next week, you're going to see a toy for a crash test dummy. It's just the way you talk about these things. They don't exist anymore. What happened to those?
Yeah.
When you see them go, no, crash test dummies, best crash dummies ever.
That's probably what it is. It's just we don't see them. Like, I saw recently they still do Stretch Armstrong. And I was like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Has he got a different name now? Or is he still just Stretch Armstrong?
No, I think it was still Stretch Armstrong. But there was just... He looked different. And I think there was just the one. Whereas when I was a kid, there was the evil guy and there was the dog. And
See, because the new Stretch Armstrong looks... I think they're trying to model him back off, like, the original version. But he looks very Trump-like. It's very... I remember seeing it and like, that's weird. Is he made a presidential declaration? It's like, yes, we're bringing back Stretch Armstrong and he's going to be based on me because you can stretch me, but I'll never break. And some stupid crap like that. But,
oh my God.
Or as a stress toy for people who don't like him.
Yeah, I
Stretch
would
his
love
arms,
that.
like,
Twist his head.
they should try to market it that way. It's like, if you're not happy with the current administration, here's a doll that looks like him that you can beat the crap out of. And it'll never... You just keep going and going.
We need that for our Tory government. I want a Jacob Rees-Mogg stretch toy. That'd be fantastic. Oh, he's stretched enough. He's a lanky man.
Have it be one of those cat things that they like scratch at.
Yes.
One of those, it's him.
Oh my God. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, there we
Let's
go.
create them. This will be our line. This is how we'll make our fortune. I mean, the podcast obviously has made us millionaires, but you know, we have to branch out. We're the new Jay-Z, you know, multimedia people.
Just imagine though, they're trying to pitch people. It's a toy, but it's like Stretch Armstrong, but it's also crossed over with the Crash Test Dummies. So it's like it breaks into a bunch of pieces that you can then stretch that don't break.
Oh, I'm on board. I'm on board.
Mind blown.
So, Batman.
That's the thing. I was so excited to talk about this glider, and then we just completely went. Because the gliders is like, when I was a kid, this was just like, holy crap, that is amazing that he has that in there. And but the thing is now, because you have to take it with a pinch of salt, it's like, there's not a chance he had that thing on his back previous to this. Because it's huge. It's like the wingspan of that thing's like about the lengths of 2 Michael Keatons.
It folds away nicely, you know.
But where?
You don't want to know that.
The thing is, though, because he fell off, he got shot, he fell off the roof, landed flat on his back. So you can imagine he went to do this, and all of a sudden the thing came up and it was all broken. He's like, oh crap,
an umbrella with
this
spokes broken on it, you know, that bit hanging off. Just,
But of course, that's actually the weird thing, though, with the Bat glider. Because this is a concept, then it's you can see it sort of spawned on into the Chris Nolan movies, where he kind of like this one's very much like a mechanical sort of like almost like a Da Vinci kind of thing, whereas it's like it unfolds and then it turns into a full on actual metal bits stuck in everywhere glider. Whereas Chris Nolan obviously made it like, it's memory cloth that you run through like an electric current through and it stiffens so we can glide, and then when it lets go, it's back to being flippity floppity.
It makes more sense, but they probably didn't even envisage that as a thing when this movie was made.
They're just like, fold out wings, yeah!
Woo!
The thing is, though, there's been versions throughout the comics of Batman has had a glider, but it's been like he has to go and literally, I'm going to go get my glider. And I think like the first appearance of the glider was in the world's finest 132 from March 1963. It was invented by Bill Finger, of course.
Oh, what a surprise! Yes,
but it appeared in Batman and Robin: Medieval Bandits.
Oh,
Batman and Robin were sent back in time by scientists to do something. They got themselves captured by local bandits, who then went around dressed up as Batman and Robin. So it was a guy in a Batman outfit, and then this little short bald guy dressed up as Robin. And people were like, yes, the boy wonder, etc., etc.
Was this Blackadder and Baldrick by any chance?
It does sound that way, really. But then Superman gets sent back to go, like, well, go investigate this. And then there's something with a kryptonite cannonball, and Batman and Robin, free themselves, and they end up coming. It was a whole big thing. But apparently that's the first appearance of the Bat glider, where he goes and gets it. But again, it's always a thing that's like a normal glider. It's just a bit bat-shaped. This concept here of his cape turns into a glider, you say, it comes from this movie, and then Chris Nolan did it, and now it's in the Arkham games, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But a kind of memorable thing Dan Waters once said, like we brought it up in the show, where he said from the Sam Hamm draft of the first run of the script that he completely rewrote, and he said the only reason Sam Hamm's name's on the credits is because he brought in the characters of Catwoman and the Penguin. That's his main contribution to this movie. Not so, because Sam Hamm came up with the friggin' cape glider thing. That's an invention by him. He does mention, it's kind of teased that throughout the script, where Alfred comes in the Batcave and Bruce is working on this thing. And he's like, what does this look like, Alfred? And it's like, it looks like the spokes of an umbrella, sir. And he's like, what's what you see?
I said about broken spoke.
Yeah, as you said, broken.
I was there in the
Hopefully not broken when he starts.
I'm the inventor.
And then, there's actually a big thing, because there's a plot line as well, where Catwoman is viciously murdering people in Gotham in that original script, like very violently too. Like one of the things, they have she seduces a man, some fellow called Shaw. And then she takes out her claws, and the way to describe it in the script is that he lets out an awful, shrill shriek as the camera whip pans away from the bed to a Jackson Pollock on the wall nearby. A spray of blood splatters across it in an aesthetically pleasing way, and the shriek ends in a low gurgle. It's like, that's very graphic, considering the rest of that movie was like a really silly 60s influence kind of version of Batman.
I'm into that.
Yeah, and then when they find the body, she's painted a bat symbol in blood on the wall and stuff to frame Batman for murder. So the idea of Batman being framed for murder by, the Catwoman and the Penguin, that comes from Sam Hamm's draft as well. So Dan Waters, all he did was bring in the characters. You friggin' stole two things from him right here. But yeah, they do mention in that script at one point, again, Batman is escaping, and then the way they describe it's very weird, where he's like, he steps onto the ledge and pulls out a tiny metal cylinder from his belt, which is recognizable as Bruce's hydraulic umbrella gizmo that we saw earlier. But it's no umbrella. I was like, well, Batman thumbs the switch, his black cape and begins to spread and rise, stiffening, expanding, and inflating into a pair of rigid bat wings.
Inflating?
Yeah, I'm not even too sure how that works, though, because he's holding a metal cylinder, and then is there this is mentioned as wires attached to the cape? Like, how does that work? I don't really get that, but...
is it? I don't know. That doesn't make a lick of sense. But this thing doesn't make a lick of sense anyway.
No.
Because I know it's a glider, but in this film, are we to believe that is inbuilt?
Yeah, I think it.
Yeah.
I'm not even... Because the way he's holding the things, kind of is he kind of reached to something and grabbed it on his belt and then hoisted the whole thing up. It's kind of hard to see, really, isn't it?
Yeah, like everything in this movie. But, it couldn't be inbuilt. It doesn't make sense.
No.
I'm willing to let that slide. I don't care, because it's cool, basically.
It packs away to a surprisingly small size, apparently, on his back.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Invisibly on his back.
That's never been seen before, and it'll never be seen again.
It's actually just a long length of string all along the top of there, and that's why he pulls his arms up, because he's pulling on the string each side, so it holds it taut. And that's what the secret is, really.
You've uncovered the truth.
Yeah. Hold on real tight, otherwise it's just going to flop back down again and you're dead.
I think Penguin should have found out the technology, copied it. I want to see Danny DeVito flying through the air on a little glider wing.
he'd have had like an umbrella or something, though, wouldn't he? He'd have kept with the
Oh,
umbrella.
well, he's got the
rather than
umbrella,
being
but I
used
want him to fight Batman while they're flying.
as another bat.
Yeah.
I'm Bat Penguin.
Penguins can fly, as we saw in The Simpsons. Just when people are looking, they don't fly.
I see.
That's the thing. Yeah, Batman does give a final look of like, see ya, and jumps down to glide across the swarm of bats that are terrorizing the public. Seems to me this is a pretty bad route to go. Like, I think if I were him, I would
Smash into the wall. Yeah.
It's just going I should probably just go over, because now everyone's thinking Batman murdered this ice princess, and there's a swarm of like bats that are terrifying everybody, and then Batman himself is now loomingly swooping over them as if to kind of be like, "That's right, it was me, bitches." It's just like,
Yeah, it does seem like he's taking credit for it rather than being like, "No, I'm not here. I'm just gonna go sneak away the other way." Yeah.
it's like he should have just nipped off to the other side of the building, got away that way. He's like, nah. Or maybe he didn't realize it, that now as he's mid-swoop, he's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, he meant to go off the other side. He's actually going, damn it.
It is ridiculous because they already want to frame Batman. All these people think Batman's responsible for what's happened. Now they're being besieged by bats, and Batman swoops between them all. It's like you would just be like, "You piece of crap, God damn you!"
Maybe he just likes bats so much that when he sees bats, he's like, "I want to be close to them, no matter what the cost."
Like me and cats.
Exactly. So he'll accept their hatred because the bats were there.
Yes. He's willing to take that blow to keep the bats happy.
Yeah, he's like, "Yay, bats!"
Aww.
the whole time.
Group hug.
Yeah,
Aww.
exactly.
I do wonder, though, if this inspired, like, that's one of my favorite bits in Batman Begins, is when, like, the Narrows has been flooded with the fear toxin, and Batman's swooping down on the cape thing that we're talking. It was mentioned that it's obviously been inspired by this, and all the criminals look up at him, but because it's the fear gas, they see like this big looming Batman with like his eyes are glowing, and there's like all stuff coming out of his mouth and stuff. And it's just like, because this to me seems like people, like, oh, everyone's just looking up, and it's like, oh, this big terrifying bat guy is just flying over the top of them. I wonder if this did spark a thing in like David Goyer or like Chris Nolan's mind of like, I could do something with that. That seems like that's a pretty sweet idea. Although in their movie it makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, this is how Batman is. The legend is beginning to spread because all these criminals have seen this thing flying over them, and they're like, oh my god. But whereas this is like the public going like, oh, Batman's murdered someone. Oh my, he's come back to taunt us. What the hell?
Yeah. How did he create that glider thing? Where did he put that?
He's a genius. I do like the motion of him flying, though, because I think it's more realistic than a lot of Batmen, where it looks like they're flying. Whereas this genuinely feels like he's gliding.
Yeah, it feels like a slow glide down.
Yeah, he's descending at a sensible rate.
Yeah.
This was always the thing, though, in the old schoolyard back in the day, when you'd have debates about who was the best superhero. And then if you ever brought up Batman, people were like, Batman, he can't even fly or anything. And it's like, oh yes, he can. Look at this.
Sort of.
He can glide like no other.
Although I love the logic that to a kid, that's what makes Batman bad. Whereas as an adult, that's why I like Batman, because he's a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I paused because I forgot to mention something before. Ooh. Which I think is important because we're here to point out how filmmakers are pieces of crap and rubbish. When Catwoman picks up her claw, right? Is the floor of this rooftop supposed to be gravel? That's my question to you.
Well, it looks like in that shot, it definitely looks gravel.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not. It's a mat. Because when she picks up the claw, she accidentally moves the mat, and it all moves as one piece.
Oh.
Which I will play it now here.
Oh, yeah.
We're onto him. The crap.
That's one thing the people at home who haven't listened to this is just like, these people sitting listening to us like clicking back and forth of a clip over and over again.
The mat's covered in gravel if it helps, though.
It is. But
it could also be that it's of not gravel than snow, because it is supposed to be winter. I guess maybe this could be like a dowdy snow. It's like a thin layer of snow.
A welcome mat or something like that. There's potted plants and stuff up there, so maybe someone just has a little welcome mat next to some kind of shed, and it's got some gravel on it, and then she's fallen on top of it, and that's why it moves as one piece.
I like that explanation.
There we
it's
go.
A nice garden on the roof.
Yeah.
There's some vegetables growing. An old lady tends to some herbs.
Yep, that's right. Mind your own business when the whole thing goes down.
Then we do get a shot of the Red Triangle Gang walking away, having done their business on the old Batmobile, and the cultural appropriation lady she turns back to just lock it up again and stuff. I don't know much to say about that, because we covered her. We covered a lot of the Red Triangle Gang. It's like, yep, that's just a thing that happens in the minute. Unless do you have anything you want to say about the Red Triangle Gang yourself, Claire? Or
I did sort of feel like the Batmobile should be better than this. I know that you probably already discussed it, because you see earlier the bit where they actually are messing with it and then take over the Batmobile so they can use it for their own purposes. But I feel like with all this money that Bruce Wayne has, does he not have money for like decent car security measures? This is
what I thought.
Like, oh yeah, he won't even realise that we've locked up his car again after our dastardly deeds.
Well, even they have the blueprints, but even with the blueprints, does that help you bypass all this stuff? Unless you really know what you're doing, and they don't seem like they know what they're doing.
No, exactly. And or is all his passwords like 0000 or something? He's just real lazy like that.
And then he changes it once it says you need to update your password 0001.
Yeah, which just like Batman rules or something like that. They just go, try that. Oh, it worked.
Well, we did mention the character because she's the knife thrower dame. So we did talk about her, didn't we? How she's an American gladiator. We went into that, didn't we?
Yeah. For sorry, I was just thinking of it would have been great though if they were trying to get a password, and then one of the criminals is like, type in Martha 1. And because my mother's name's Martha, but one of the odds is going to be Batman's mother's name as well. And then it's like, oh my god, it worked! That was the password the whole time. I love the music throughout this entire minute though, even like from the kind of like the patented Danny Elfman, like the choral, whoa, as Batman swooping down everything. And then what we get here is a very slightly sinister version of the Batman theme as they're walking away. But I'm trying to figure out what that's been played on. Is it like, I kind of want to see some kind of organ, but then an organ would sound grander than that, I think. Are you good at identifying instruments to be able to go, oh, that's clearly like a Chinese church symposium organ or something like that?
I sort of need to hear it again, I think.
Is this the bit with Catwoman? Like when it goes back to Catwoman from the Red Triangle Gang?
No, just as with the Red Triangle Gang, as they're walking away, you get this real
with them.
That bit. Okay. Hang on, we'll have to turn the volume up.
It did sound quite organy. It seemed like I felt like it sounded organy.
Yeah, that's definitely either an organ.
And there was those big drums where it was really quietly like at the end, wasn't there?
If it's not an organ, it's like a synthesized organ or something.
Yeah.
I do love the sound mix as well, though, because when it comes to that, and then you get this, the shot going up Catwoman as she's watching the crowd. And I love the mix of the screams of the crowd in there as well. It just all blends together really, really well. It's good job, sound mixers. But we'll also know too, like if you pause briefly, because I've kind of noticed this more actually as the movies, watching it minute by minute, because we're kind of seeing what I think is supposed to be kind of like we saw the origin of Catwoman, and her becoming this empowered figure, and then throughout all her encounters, her costume keeps falling apart and stuff. So she's lost 2 claws now. Well, technically she only lost 1. She's got the other one back, but and every time you see her, like right enough, you notice like, oh, the seams on her shoulder have gone, and the seam as they're going up the shot going up here, you see like, there's a new burst seam on her thigh. There's like, oh, he has a bit of the bit of skin's exposed there and stuff now. It's kind of like again after once she's taken down by the Penguin, her costume's completely trashed. So I wonder if this is supposed to be, we saw her built up, and then we see the destruction of Catwoman as well, and that she's turned from a powerful figure into like a kind of deranged spirit of vengeance by the end of it, where she's just lashing out at everybody and stuff.
Well, she's coming unstitched.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. She
had to abandon her house and stuff, though, didn't she? So it's not like she can hop home and be like, oh, just get some sewing stuff and sort this out. At least it's the attention to detail of she wouldn't still look perfect. She would have got more and more messed up as it went on. Because
Well, she's been on the go constantly.
Yeah, she's probably really tired. She doesn't want to sew when she gets home after everything she's been through.
I know in other versions of the script they do mention, like, oh, she does still live in the apartment. They have her going home after her encounters and stuff, but like...
that's not in the final thing.
But all the needles are on her fingers now, so she can't use them to sew.
The thing I remember, like, the one thing that really stayed with me is, like, when we talked about the week when she trashed that apartment, was the fact she spilled all that milk on the floor. It's like, that apartment is going to stink.
That's why she's not going back.
I can't go back there.
Oh, spilt milk. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really have milk. I mostly have like oat milk. Does that smell if you drop it though? I'm quite cleanly now. I'd wipe it up straight away, so I don't know.
I feel like most things stink if you give them long enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, I don't know.
It's still got a kind of milkiness.
The thing is, milk too. Like, you think like it's actually very hard to clean up. If you spill enough milk, no matter you go in with a mop, you get everything. Some of it will still be in a crevice somewhere, and you're like, "What the hell's that smell?" And it's like, "Oh damn it, the milk!"
It's that milky crevice again.
Oh, you need to bleep that out. Oh,
Oh,
Jesus!
yeah, I just realised that. That sounds even worse out loud.
This is a PG podcast. After the last few weeks, it's not.
I just sort of said it again, and it sounded worse when I said it. You know.
Don't
I
worry.
Niall.
We've had a good few weeks that are really bordering on not being
Yeah.
PG anyway.
Milky crevice, everyone.
And the previous to this one's just like, let's not even try to censor that. There's just no way.
Oh my god.
Back to the minute.
But I love the fact, for whatever reason, Catwoman and the Penguin have this. I don't know if they decided in advance that this was the meeting place, or if Penguin's just tracked down Catwoman, like, oh, she's over there, or whatever. But like,
I think the latter. She doesn't make plans to meet the Penguin. I
was wondering this. So how does he know which exact bit of rooftop to go up to with his champagne and the bucket with the champagne and the two glasses? I can imagine him like tripping on the stairs and goes up and he smashes the glasses and he thinks, I've got to go down again. This is timing. It's not going to be right anymore. She'll have left and I really wanted to go and woo her.
And that's exactly what would happen in real life, I think, what you've just described.
Yeah.
It is weird. I think it's just because he's a weird, creepy pervert. He's been following her.
He's been ready for hours, sat there squatting in the dark, like, hurry up fighting so I can bring out the champagne.
Basically.
I wonder how long he's had the champagne, though, because like, the last time we saw the Penguin was when he threw that umbrella, which was, like 2 minutes ago or something?
Yeah.
So was he hanging about with a champagne in the bucket when the guy was behind him when he threw the umbrella? He's like, oh, better take this with me.
He's got a goon whose job is to hold champagne and glasses at all times.
Oh, that's a goon I want.
Oh, yeah.
My goons are useless. Damn.
I do love, though, when he comes out. This is one that I only ever picked up from watching minute by minute, but like as he comes around the corner, he does look over to see like how high up he is, and he does go do a little like, ooh, oh, like he has a look of brief panic on his face, like, oh.
Yeah, don't look down.
Well, I mean, even if you're not scared of heights, this is high. You don't want to be at the edge of this.
Yeah, he's very aware that he can't fly because that's what all the nature documentaries keep telling him. Like, penguins can't fly,
but we know they can.
Yeah,
we've seen The Simpsons.
I do wonder though, is it a look of terror of like ooh, or is it like a ooh, like it looks like a mess down there, like he's kind of admiring like the chaos that is going on.
I think that it's kind of like, oh, good work there.
Yeah,
like you've done well.
Well, he walk past her in a moment anyway, so he mustn't be that fried because he's obviously going to have to go closer to the edge in order to get past her with his bottle glasses that he's holding. So she could have just like stuck her foot out and he'd be gone. That'd be the end of that.
Yeah,
that would have been great actually if she takes the Penguin out.
That would have been like, I wonder if that never crossed Catwoman's mind. And she's like, oh, I could have just killed him. Like, right there, I could have got him. Because I had no use for this man. He's doing nothing for me now. So.
No, like, how does he help her, really? In any way?
I think it's she wanted Batman to be humiliated. And they have successfully done that. They've defamed him. And that's about all the use she has for the Penguin. Everything else she knows about him is like this sleazy pervert who every waking moment they're together is constantly trying it on with her. Which he's about to do now, again, at this very second.
Well, yeah, he's got... The champagne is step one in the new
Maybe she would have tripped him up, but she wants the champagne. Because she does down it quite quickly as well, doesn't she?
She does. That's an excellent point.
If you didn't have that in your hand, I would have tripped you right up. But because you do, you can live for a little bit longer.
I mean, you can tolerate a lot with champagne. It helps, doesn't it?
I don't know, Max. I'm not a big champagne guy, so I'm like,
not into it.
It's just I always find champagne. It just tastes of fizz. It's so fizzy.
Oh,
That it's just about like, yeah. I mean, I'll always give like, because nowadays, of course, the big trendy thing is prosecco.
I prefer prosecco.
Yeah, but like, although I know they had that whole brief crisis where like, England's almost out of prosecco. You've got to stop drinking it, and then they just forgot about that crisis. I guess we've got enough things to worry about. We're like, oh, Christ, you won't worry about the prosecco when everything else is going on.
Well, that's the most important part. Damn it!
I think people take off time off of prosecco and have gin sometimes now as well. That don't.
Yes.
Maybe that saved the prosecco from going extinct.
Yes, thank God we shifted everyone onto gin, something I hate. So.
There's this thing called Cremant, which is sort of somewhere between prosecco and champagne, and that's quite nice. Actually.
Cremant.
Yeah.
Ooh, I haven't had that one.
They have it in quite a few places now.
Ooh, I've had obviously.
Check it out.
I've had champagne, prosecco. What's the Spanish one? There's a
Carver or something like that?
Carver. Or is that Italian? It might be Italian. And then I've had spumante.
Booze.
Spumante is like a less fizzy wine. You might like that more, Niall. Get a nice spumante. It's like halfway fizzy.
They're going out tonight, coming into Evil Eye Burrito. But like, give me a spumante, please.
I'll have your finest spumante.
We should go in and ask for these kind of things.
Like, what?
Really elaborate drinks. I'll have. You start listing all these mad ingredients for cocktails. Advocaat.
It's basically Del Boy just going into the pub and they're like, oh yeah, Mark, I'll have a Tropicana, blah, 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 with a twist, please. Like 45 umbrellas sticking out of it. It's just like some random blue liquid.
Why not?
You made me think of Del Boy earlier when you said about people dressed up as Batman and Robin. I thought you were
Yes.
going to say about Only Fools and Horses for that as
Oh,
well.
classic.
But you didn't.
Well, have our American listeners seen Only Fools and Horses? British classic comedy? If not, watch the episode. Is it Halloween? No, it's not a Halloween party they're going to. It's just a fancy dress party. Isn't it?
It was part of that three episode grand finale they had in the 90s where it's like, these are the last ever episodes. And they were great. And then they went a couple of years later, oh, we're making some more now. And then they weren't good. It's like,
No.
It was the same with it was the British version of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where you're like, that's a perfect ending. And then they're like, we're making another one. Like, no, you had an ending, for God's sake.
Stop! No.
I think that Only Fools and Horses was still of better quality than the newer Indiana Jones, perhaps. So,
but yeah, of course, then the Penguin comes out and refers to Catwoman as, your Beauty and the Beast in one luscious Christmas gift pack. I think it gets cut off midway, I believe. But
he just says "cr," and you're like, what's he gonna say?
What could he say that's not Christmas? In one luscious
cat litter tray.
Oh, yes, they're very luscious. I'm looking over at one right now, and I think it's clean.
But, of course, as we alluded to at the very beginning of the episode, like the villain talking about Beauty and the Beast. You can't say it's a callback, I guess, really, because it's just how people talk about Beauty and the Beast. But of course, the Joker was it like 2 or 3 times, at least twice in the last movie, referred to Beauty and the Beast, didn't he? Like so there you go. Maybe that's just like the Burton verse villains. Like, oh, they all love Beauty and the Beast, apparently.
Or they all love the David Bowie song "Beauty and the Beast" from Heroes.
Yeah, could be. You never know. Yeah.
Side
Although
one.
this is like 90. Beauty and the Beast, the Disney movie, is 91. This is 92. So maybe they're kind of crested. Like, oh, we put him in, mentioning Beauty and the Beast. That'll give us some good karma. Like, we can ride the success of that Beauty and the Beast train.
Well, I think Catwoman here, though, the very last thing you see is her sort of from a distance, her expressions, and I think she doesn't look too pleased with what's happened. Like, do you think she's having second thoughts? I mean, we'll get into that more next week, but is that what it is, or is she just disillusioned with everything?
Yeah. You might not be able to see the whole of Batman's face, but you can still tell he's better looking than the Penguins. Maybe she's just like, how things have changed. A minute ago, having a little sexy lick his face moment with Batman.
And now this guy.
Him, he loved it. And then he left and it was all cool. And then here's this guy going, hey, let's have some champagne.
At least you know the Penguin, a night with the Penguin wouldn't be boring.
I'm pretty sure it'd be pretty horrifying.
You might not survive it. I feel like he's going to try and drown you somewhere in there,
You could probably overpower him. He's weak. Look at him.
We lost all our nails. What's she going to do without those?
True. A cat is powerless without their nails. That's how
Penguin
Drusilla
eats a
reacts.
cat, then
When we cut Drusilla's nails, she just looks devastated. Like, what have you done? I can't defend the
powers.
family anymore.
It's like Samson, like
Yeah.
with hair,
Yeah.
How's it gone?
But I guess so. Actually, I was going to say, Claire, 'cause I remember you specifically at one point asked for a minute with the penguin because you really loved him, and it should because the action of the minute is pretty much over, so we can move into your thoughts about the feeling, your thoughts about the feelings, your thoughts about the movie in general, your memories about it. Then like obviously so you have a great time for the penguin and Danny DeVito's iteration of the character. I take it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the penguin anyway, because I like the penguin in the old ones, as well. I don't know, there's something about him that I found interesting. But I think because of my childhood, Danny DeVito in particular.
Yes.
Definitely. And I love Danny DeVito in everything, so him in this is even better. I don't know, he's just one of those characters where you're like, penguin. Even though he's awful.
But do you have any memories of like when you first saw the movie, Claire? Do you have any like was this a big part of your childhood in any way, or? Yeah,
I feel like it was, but I love Batman and Tim Burton at the time as well, and I like the style of it. It was something that always appealed to me. Batman was always one of my favourites as well, even as a child. So the whole thing's just like, yay, tick, tick, tick.
Everything
tick.
you could possibly want.
Yeah, at the time it was like, this is great.
And it's the most goth movie ever.
I watched a lot of horror films as well, and like you were saying about Alien, I know sometimes things that are very dark, it's all very, like you were saying about it all being very black and there's loads of details you can't see, and you get a lot of that in Alien as well.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
Well, what's important is the few things you can see. Like here, this last shot, the real standout is Catwoman's lips. It's really focusing on that with the really red. Everything else is pretty dark. You can't, even the penguin, you can't really see a lot of him.
I think she has makeup in that bum bag with her extra nails, because
she
I
must
feel like
do.
her makeup's always topped up, even if the
yeah, like she must have
outfit.
the greatest like setting spray ever designed.
Yeah, she's just like for like 5 minutes over the makeup she's done, because she's got this sort of smoky eye and it's right up to the eyebrow, and I feel like that would get some smudges in it quite quickly.
Probably would.
You should have like smudges right across her face from her fights. I feel like she would.
There's some good blending going on as well.
Yeah. She's tattooed that stuff on.
I had one final note, which I forgot to bring up because I've been forgetful all episode and keep forgetting stuff. I don't think you mentioned this, Niall, but my brain isn't working today. The Wesley Strick draft. I have to bring it up once an episode. It mentions Batman's wings here. It says, well, it describes them as a pair of balsa wood enforced black cloth kite wings. Now that doesn't sound very high tech or sturdy or secure, really. Like balsa wood.
Yeah, I mean it could be.
It's light.
You could take that though. It's been like, maybe like Catwoman and Batman aren't so different. She's had her homemade claws. He's got his rickety old kite wings and stuff. But it could have been maybe if they made it look like. Oh, that's the thing, because everything with Batman has to be high tech. He's got that friggin' Batmobile we see in like the next friggin' shot after he jumps. But
they had to cut some corners. They saved money on the glider thing. Didn't have as much money left over. They had to pay for petrol or something.
But we still don't know where this Batman gets his money and gadgets. He just does this. Bruce. He's rich because
trust fund. Still living off the trust fund. It was a lot of money in there.
Yes. But like you asked Max Shrek himself, like, where does Bruce Wayne get his money? He'd be like, let me guess, trust fund, goody goody.
But his son will be a trust fund kid.
That's the thing. Max Shrek's a bad guy. He's
true.
The bad thing's a hypocrite. Shouldn't be all that surprising, really.
Well, we'll fly off now into the dark, dark night on our balsa wood kite. Claire, would you like to tell our listeners where they can get in touch with you, or would you like to remain safely anonymous?
I don't think they want to get in touch with me, but thank you for having me.
No worries, because you're not really like a Twittery kind of person, are you?
No, I'm more quiet than that. Yeah. But
so...
I enjoy from the shadows.
Well, I'm sure if you do want to get in touch with Claire, just send us a message. we can pass it on, or put it in the group, in the Bat Minute listeners' cave.
Yeah, they'll pass anything on worth hearing.
Yeah, if it's not worth hearing, then we'll just mock it mercilessly.
It's going to be the weekend bonus episodes. Like, look at what this jerk wrote.
Losers! All of you are losers! Anyway, yes, we will depart now. We will see you. Is this a Friday episode? It is a Friday episode.
No, we record these so out of sequence. It's just like, where is this? This is a Friday episode, yeah.
Yes, we will see you next week then. We'll see you on Monday for more Bat Minute Returns and Minute 82. See you then.
Next time, an indecent proposal. There's a sinister symposium with psychotic Saturnalia as Oswald celebrates the princess's slip. But will a foul vow result in matrimonial bliss or be met with a shaken Catwoman's hiss? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.